That's weird. Won't let me text. Okay, there we go. Go ahead and set this up. Get. Damn it. That right there. Okay, so understanding people with disabilities. I have done this video before. It is on my YouTube channel. Understanding people with special needs. I do want to do this for IG, and I may also redo this as a redo video as well for the YouTube channel as well, because I did do that late at night. So here it is with me redoing it again, and also try to go into a bit of other things, into a bit of perspectives, and give updates on stuff, as well. This will be left for rebroadcast as well, so anybody can re-see my live. So, for people to understand people with special needs, let's go into the earlier years of people not liking people with disabilities of special needs and why they do not like us. A lot of people are going to say, well, maybe they don't understand. You always get that excuse, or it's like, well, they're afraid to understand something because they don't know. Personally, in my own experiences, that has never been the case. Why people don't like people with disabilities or special needs is because to them we are a waste of space. We do tend to have a bit more free times on our hands and get to do more things at that earlier stage, earlier age, than the rest of the other students or kids, especially in school. We would get beat up, get called names. They choose not to like us. It is true what they say. Like, yes, we do get the answers told to us in a lot of the special education classes. We do. That's how a good majority of us made it to winning certain prizes when it came to the AR reading test and scoring high, and was even able to go on certain trips, because it is true we were giving those answers. We most certainly was. Is it labeled as a disease? I don't know if you would call it a disease, because it is something that people are born with that does run in either side of the family through genetics and chemicals in the brain. Through the CDC, it is labeled as a disease. Medical records put that down as a disease. If you go to jail or to prison later on in life, they put it down on your prison or jail forms when you're getting you booked in down as a disease. A lot of it, in that case, does come through development through birth. Due to the mother doing drugs, smoking, alcohol, pills, whatever it is, it's a drug. You also have the fact that there are birth side effects. With me, I had bad birth side effects. I did. I couldn't breathe. There were fluids in my body, toxins as well. There is an autopsy report done on my body. There is. Reason for that, I died twice during birth. I did have to be shipped out through Washington through a helicopter, where there was more medical at. I had plug-ins, my thighs, private area, and in my head. There are pictures of that, pictures I will not show. With that, I was hospitalized through such a very long individual time. You do have that. Along with those things, ended up causing me to be born with asthma, to ended up developing and being born with a bad heart, later on being diabetic, that is very hard to get underneath control. Along with that, also me having liver failure as well. You also have depression. Depression also goes along with people with special needs and with disabilities. With me, I go through most definitely depression, suicidal depression, and mood swings. That's without a doubt. You also, along with that, you have abuse. When it comes to the learning disabilities, being born with dyslexic and dyscalculia, being abused part is when the parents can't handle with that child, so a good majority of parents do give up their child. I was passed on through several people. I've also been hit in the head from my mother several times because of my learning disabilities, and things like that. It makes it worse for people like that. It really does. A good majority of people with special needs and disabilities do have a hard time in life. They do. They get heavily mistreated. The fathers never want to own their kids, and that was the case with me. I was never owned. I was never claimed at all. During the young years, trying to process information, we don't process it well. A lot of information may not click right away, and not understanding. Especially with, not just that, but with learning. We're not going to see words and letters like other normal people do. Being dyslexic, you're going to see letters as numbers as letters, and the numbers are not going to make sense. So that's where the dyscalculia comes in. That's where it really comes in. We gain more and learn more that we could process better outside of the educated system. I have, even in our adult years, being people again with disabilities and special needs, so we still have a time not processing information good, depending on what it is. Even going into the earlier years, it's best to have a child connect to a stranger that can help them when it comes to education, rather than having somebody close or a parent do it, because it's not going to work out. And again, the reason for that, you're going to have them get frustrated and start taking out anger and beatings on that child with disability issues, with special needs. Along with that, I go into some things I'm going to, again, even share, giving this information a bit better. It may not be in order, but at least it makes sense, and I do have to go back to certain things every once in a while as well. During the time of Bush Jr. and Obama, I was part of the No Child Left Behind Act. That No Child Left Behind Act ended up messing a lot of people's futures up after about 13, 14, maybe 13 years later at the most, like it did for me after school. Now, what is that, you ask? The No Child Left Behind Act falls into several categories that people with disabilities and special needs do meet, especially in the conditions that they are put in. You have, one, poor finances. We couldn't afford to go to school all the time. You have troubled youth. A good majority of people with disability issues and special needs do end up becoming troubled in their life. A good majority of the prison system, the jail system, is pretty much packed full of those, and I will get into that later on. It is also for people with, again, special needs and learning disabilities, and that's what the No Child Left Behind Act falls into. But it was also made for the states, because when that student gets held back or fails a grade and have to repeat it, supposedly that just doesn't cost the state money, but it costs the school money as well. So they decided to go ahead and make that program specifically for that. So if you were not going to school as much, if you were struggling, failing in school, not making good grades, they wouldn't count that against you because of that No Child Left Behind Act. Now, this is something that you don't sign up for. You will already automatically sign up and put on it through the state, through the government system. So what I said, if you're somebody that didn't go to school all the time, if you're somebody that failed, troubled youth, right, and end up making bad grades, they wouldn't count that against you. You would go ahead and just pass on through the next grade throughout the cracks. If you were somebody, again, with those complications of being special needs, disabilities, but somebody that did work hard and tried to work to earn good grades, they didn't care, so it was already given to you out of pittiness, like it was for me. So a lot of the attendance, certificates, and grades that I got as I got older and I learned about this, it doesn't mean anything, because now it's no longer something to be proud of, because it was just given to me to say, oh, I feel bad for him, he's on the No Child Left Behind Act. Let's just give it to him and pass them on. That's what ended up happening. And I ended up finishing school with a fake diploma. I have talked about this in a video called Fake Diploma. And it was graduation that was real, but for that individual that was on that No Child Left Behind Act, it was put together and faked for you just to get you the hell on out of there. That's what it was for. So your diploma that you get, it was fake. It was bought offline. It had no sign-offs, no seal stamps of approvals. It was utterly fake. And I would come to learn about this, I think, early of this year. Maybe it was, early of this year. I do believe so. And how I learned to come about this was I tried to fill in job applications to see if I could get a job. So I never, had a job before. I never worked. The only job that I had was the TRC. And I will get into that after this. So the only job I had before was at the TRC plant. And because of that, I had a job at the TRC plant. They never considered a real job. But, I never worked before at a real job. So what was I doing? I was in the streets a lot. That's what I was doing. I was getting in trouble. I don't have references. So because of that, the state school board of education system called me, and it ended up going into a three-way conversation. It ended up going into that three-way conversation. It ended up going right into that. And come to find out, that's when I found out I was on the No Child Left Behind Act. I was considered a dropout in school. We also did some research and information to find out about a lot of different things, and especially on my part. And that's how I found out I ended up getting, a fake diploma. I did. It was utterly fake. Now, those that are going to be wondering that see this video, what does a fake diploma look like? And I will actually, I guess you guys can watch that in a video. I really don't feel like going inside right now. But it has no sign-offs, no seal stamps of approvals. Your seal stamps of approvals would be black and white, which is the regular, silver, which is attendance, gold, which is high honors, and then all three, which would be high honor roll is regular attendance, black and white, silver honor roll, with the gold seal stamp approval, high honors roll, and graduate. Sometimes, in a rare case, you would get 4, but that's very rare. So that's how I found out that I ended up getting a fake diploma. Throughout those 3 years of me in high school, from 09, 10, and a little bit through 11, actually I take that back, 08, 09, and 010. I worked at a program called TRC, stand for Tennessee Rehab Center. And a lot of people are like, does that mean drugs? A good majority of it, yeah, it does mean drugs. A lot of people who do work there are on drugs. But it was also people for disability needs and special needs as well. It's a program that is not the best. I have talked about that program, called the worst program / TRC. What happens behind closed doors is verbal, mental, and a bit of physical abuse towards the employees in the back that cannot defend for themselves. I have personally went through that myself. I have. One day, I was sitting outside for it, and supervisor just came and yelled into my face. I didn't appreciate that. So I made a phone call, and a lot of the people that seen it were questioned, and they all said, oh, it didn't happen. In most cases like that is because, they were scared. Nobody wants to speak up. You have times where they left all the doors open for us in the wintertime to make us suffer, and that's what they ended up doing. That's a lot of the abuse that people went through in that program that I went through. I know some questions people may have. Well, how does the federal system take to people with disability needs and special needs? They treat us like shit. They do. You may have some people that may look out for you, but you do get treated like shit as well. And they do give you the wrong medication, so you are going to have times where somebody's going to get transported to the hospital. I was given the wrong medication throughout that. Broke out into almost a seizure-like state. Reason why I survived, there are people in there that I knew, in certain cliques that knew me from doing some shit out here in these streets. And that's how I survived. From there, you have when we get paid. We are the people that are the most targeted and the most used because we receive the most money from SSI. You know, my parents decided to use me as a financial scam with SSI. Even though there were things wrong with me, they ended up making me suffer from taking my money. I would end up getting paid almost around $15,000 a month. You know, I talked about this before in a long video with an interview I'd done. They were buying things underneath my name with that money, guns, cars, expensive medication, looking into leaving places, expensive TVs, computers, new phones. They would mock me, rub things in my face, put me down to make me feel bad. They would stay gone for so many hours saying, look what we bought. Yeah, man, we bought this. Look how much money we have. Ooh, you ain't getting shit. Oh, you want something? You need to save up. Save up what? When you were stealing my money. Even when I was working at the TRC plant, you know, I made a good proportion of that money as well, but that was still being took. And for people that don't know, when you have somebody with special needs and disabilities and living with you who are your guardians, or, you know, in every sense of that word, from grandparents, parents, sisters, brothers, or uncles, they're not allowed to charge you rent because of that. If they do, they're actually breaking a federal system law of fraud, impersonating a landlord as well. Those that don't know, and that's what has happened to me. Not only were they buying those things, but they put the house in my name, and I was paying for a house, but being charged rent while staying there as well. A lot of doctor's appointments were canceled, and because of that, a lot of the health issues recaught back up so bad. I was hospitalized. My mother was questioned by authorities because of that. This went on for so long. Even before I got on the SSI, one day, they've been labeled as unfit financial owners and unfit parents by the state after what happened during court. I collected a lot of evidence over the years for this. Because they choose to neglect their responsibilities as an adult. We were about ready to get the house took from us from the state. And one day when I was at school, they were having a garage sale, and I came home, and it was all my stuff that was being sold at this garage sale, none of their stuff. And because of that, I ended up, saving the house more on several occasions. And then once I got put on, again, they were just doing so much. Again, I go into detail about this in a video called Trust and Money In-Depth Interview. It's about 2 hours long, but it goes into detail. It goes into an extensive amount of detail of what happened. Especially towards me. And because of that, people with special needs disabilities, if they're living with their guardians, we don't receive our money, which means why we get in trouble a lot is because we're out hustling the streets, selling drugs, or stealing because we're getting our money stole from us, and we're being used as a financial scam from our guardians to scam Social Security disability, just so our guardians can take not just our money, so we can get paid more, not see it, and so they can buy things with our money because they chose to mess up their lives when they were younger financially. And because of that, they really feel like inside their minds that we owe them, when in reality, we don't owe them shit. And I remember the judge telling my father that at the most, saying, hey, you said that he owes you. And throughout the documentations and statements and interviews, my father was never there. He didn't want nothing to do with me and my mother. He was abusive. And my father said, the reason why we're doing this, as far as I'm concerned, he owes me. He doesn't deserve this money. Fuck him. The judge said, no. He doesn't owe you anything. You owe him. He never fucking hugged me until I so-called fake graduated school. He never wanted nothing to do in my life until I started working at the TRC plant and especially getting in money from SSI. And people from SSI, even working at the program that I mentioned, we get paid more than what somebody does at a regular job. And that's why we do get mistreated, especially when it comes to finance-wise, is because to them, oh, you're making money, I want to be part of your life. Things out of that nature. And and why we don't have money, but again, they ended up very much getting in trouble. I have received, honestly, they put me in over $250,000 in debt and damages, because there was fraud involved. I also got in trouble, but I didn't get in very much trouble because I backed up a lot of things. They cut down my pay because of what happened and how intelligent I am, to where, I'm eligible to work, so I only receive $340, but I do other things for finances. People with disabilities like that, and what I'm explaining, we're the most artistic people, but because we choose to do things by hand, it's hard for us to gain business, so we still choose to be out here in the streets. Now, a lot of people that's going to see us, why don't you just get a job? Well, let me touch on that. I don't qualify for today's standards, and a lot of people like me don't. Today's standards, for those that affects during, again, through Bush Jr. and Obama with the No Child Left Behind Act, after so many years, and after being out of high school for about 13 years as well. On top of that, you must have a full 4 years of high school. I do not. You must have 1 year of college. I do not have that. You must have 6 months of working experiences. Again, I do not have that. You must have your own vehicle transportation. I do not have that. I'm not allowed to drive by the state of Tennessee. I'm not allowed to get a license because of me with learning disabilities, being special needs, with me also being blind in one eye. So I'm forever blocked by the state, and also me being on SSI adds more so to the problem. It really adds more to that problem than anything. Hold on. I ended up getting a phone call, but that's why we get. And plus, you must have no types of learning disabilities as well, and a clean record. Because that is why I don't fit the requirements meant for today's standards. Alright, so sorry about that phone call. But, that's why, because what I explained is why people like me don't meet today's new requirements. But I do find other ways to make finances come in. I have a video of that called my stats. That's how I receive money. Just check that out. Along with that, with the last part of this, wrap it up. When it comes to relationship, we are the most sexually active people, and the reason for why we just want sex the most is because we don't want to feel alone, and we're hoping that we can be in a relationship with somebody. That's why we're always after that. With that being said, I hope those that see this video up on the Jazzy Entertainment channel do get a better understanding now. And I'm also going to link 3 videos the Trust and Money in-depth interview, my stats, and also the fake diploma video down in the bottom of the description. So those that see it can check those other videos out, because they go into some detail more so about things that I tried to share, specifically here on this video. So with that being said, man, I'm out. Peace.